Hello, everyone. So this is day 5 of Common Focus for Kids, Focus and Calm for Kids, 10 Holistic Essentials. And today I'd like to talk about dissolving emotional traumas and stresses as being really important in creating more ease and creating more focus and calm for kids with ADHD, OCD, ADD, ASD, autism, and dyslexia. So why is this important and why do I consider this important? Well, firstly, if there are, when I say trauma, you can be big T traumas, events in their lives that have been traumatic, or it can be little t trauma, and everyday things can be traumas for these kids. When kids are getting bullied, that's traumatic. When kids are getting teachers, I'll say discipline nicely, because they're disruptive or their behavior is not ideal, or the teacher maybe they feel picking on them. That's traumatic for a kid because teachers are very powerful authority figures. Other traumas include disagreements with parents. Even though they don't feel like, or they can't really control themselves, it's still traumatic. Of course it is, right? Fights and temper tantrums and outbursts are traumatic. And if there are things in the home that are difficult, that's also traumatic for kids. So there are a lot of little t traumas that we have, a lot. So these can make symptoms worse, or they can be at the root of some of the symptoms. And if you take care of the emotional stresses, then you can actually take care of some of the symptoms. And also trauma or emotional stress or emotions are out of control throw the body and brain out of balance. So when we talk about emotional, I don't know, you want to say managing our emotions or self-management of emotions or self-regulation of emotions, this is an important part of balancing our bodies and brains. And kids can learn to do this, and we can learn to do this. We don't always choose to, do we? So emotional dysregulation is a really big deal. It's difficult, right? When you have a meltdown, it's a very challenging issue for you and your child and your family and your entire household. So being able to notice that we have some power over our own emotions and being able to transform emotions quickly and painlessly and easily, that's really empowering. It's empowering for us as adults, and it's super empowering for kids, because oftentimes they feel like, you know, that Robert Munch book, The Mud Puddle, they feel like things just jump on them from nowhere and they don't know how to deal with them. And they almost feel like they're the victims of their own emotions. So this is important. Stuck emotional stresses or stuck energies actually show up in various parts of the body. They show up in the brain as a ball of energy. And when you do CT scans and you line them up, which is like this, like angle-wise, the hairline like this, slices like this, what you see is little rings. And those little rings are little parts, slices of the balls of stuck energy. And they show up there, they show up in the heart energy, they show up in the heart itself, they show up in the guts, they show up in the water system, and they show up in the spine energetically. So this has a great impact on our bodies. There are a few ways that we can deal with this. And when I first started doing energy work, I worked with EFT, emotional freedom. Sorry, my brain. I've been at school all day. Emotional freedom technique. And you may or may not have heard of that. And it's actually really useful. I don't do it much anymore because I use things that are, for me, more powerful and faster. But for people who are just getting started, and especially for kids, they can be really useful because it's kinesthetic and tactile. And so it involves tapping the end points of 14 different acupuncture points. And often just the points on the face can create enough calm, and then under the arm. So that's the inside of the eyebrow, outside of the eye, under the nose, chin, here, and under the arm. And there's various ways that you work with this, but those are the basic points. And another thing that I used after I kind of exhausted that, the next greatest thing I started working with was called emotion code. And that involves muscle testing with this chart of emotions, the fastest way to find them, and then just kind of releasing them with a magnet or your hand, depending on how much how many props you need. What I like to teach kids now, because these kids are amazing and it's so fast and powerful, is playing with spaces. And I showed this to a kid at school, and I was just starting to do this sort of thing. This is a couple years ago. And there's one student in my music class who was really anxious, a lot of anxiety. And I'd heard from all of his other teachers that they were concerned about him because he was so anxious, and it was every class. So, and he was a really great kid. We had a good rapport. So one day I said, do you want to try something a little different? He says, yeah, sure. A very keen kid. And so what we did was I said, get the space of that, whatever it is you're feeling, where is it in your body, and bring it out in front of you. And now just start spinning it like a ball, and you can do other things with it too. So he was spinning it, and I said, like a globe, you know, it can spin any direction, it can spin any angle, backwards and forwards at the same time. So he was spinning it and spinning it and spinning it in his mind with this energy. And then I'm kind of intuitively asking, so what would help? I said, what could we add? What space could we add? And I was just helping him, but a lot of people will come up with something on their own. And it was a space of power. And I'm like, isn't that interesting? Okay. So he spun the space of power, he spun the space of this other thing until they were the same, brought them together and put them in his body. And it was like, whoosh, different kid. He was bouncing around like the Energizer Bunny for the next 2 weeks. He was just happy, a happy kid. It was so dramatic, the difference. And that was like less than 10 minutes. So that's why I love to show this stuff to kids, because they get it, they do it really fast. Adults do too, of course, but kids are so fast. And it can make a huge difference. So these are a few things, 3 different ways that we can work with them. Alrighty, so that's it for today. I do teach workshops in this kind of thing, and that will be something that I will be offering later for parents and kids, is all the stuff that I'm talking about. I'd love to show people how to do so that they can be empowered to manage their own lives and do the optimum kind of stuff for themselves. Right? Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. And tomorrow is number 6. All right. There's a workshop coming up. There is free stuff for you at lindalonseth.ca. So go check it out and sign up for the workshop. There's one online, May 26th, that's free. And there are numerous ones on Thursday evenings where we talk about all the stuff in person, and there's more involved. So go check it out. And I'd love for you to come and join me. We can go into more details. All right. Thanks for today, and we'll talk to you again. Bye-bye. Can I actually end this thing? Yay.